In this short video, I'm going to be talking about how to use Adobe Color to create our palettes for our color explorations in Illustrator. So first, go ahead and open up your web browser and visit color.adobe.com. Make sure that you sign in. So I'm signed in right now. And that way, anything that you do in here will translate directly to Illustrator. So first, to start, we have this color wheel in the middle, and if you haven't watched the video I posted about color, please watch that before you go ahead and continue with this. So on the left-hand side, we have color rules, and in the middle, we have our palette. Below our palette, we have the actual RGB and hex codes for our palette. This is used in web design largely. And in the center, we have our color wheel with our palette selections that we can move around. So I'm just moving these around by clicking and dragging the center, the one that is marked with this base color icon. I can also grab these individually. I can move it towards the center, towards the edges. So towards the edges, it's more heavily saturated. Towards the center, it's paler and less saturated. And whenever I'm ready to save it, I simply click Save over here. Now, there's lots of color rules, and if you watch the video I mentioned before, they talk about the use cases for each color rule. Analogous is a really good starting space, especially for the kind of designs that you'll be making in this class. So this is really good whenever you just kind of want to have slight variations on a few colors. So this is maybe a really nice like ocean scene, or if I was doing something that's like water themed, this would be really great. Monochromatic is probably the simplest and easiest way to build a really quick and dirty palette. Monochromatic will pick the same lines of the same hue of colors, but just have shifts in their tone and saturation. So as I move this around, I can find, a bunch of different reds. So this might be my background red, this might be my font red, or a shape in this color, and so on and so forth. Triad are really kind of drastic shifts in color. I don't recommend using them usually. They can be just really intense, right? This is a very intense palette and maybe not the best palette in the world, but can also create some really interesting results. Something like this, I don't know, like I would just throw this color away. I really think only these four would be usable. So Triad is definitely one of the lesser used ones. Complementary, very widely used, especially in today's society. We really use complementary a lot. So I can create like a great beach scene or something with this. Maybe something a little more fun and kind of poppy here. Intense and more like vaporwave slash neon. A little more subtle there. So complementary obviously takes them from opposite sides. Compound basically is building off of several complementaries and working them together. It really works pretty well too. It's good if you want a little bit more variation than your typical complementary color set. Shades are going to be very similar to monochromatic, but rather than selecting from different points on this bar, it's basically just different lightness and darkness values. And then custom allows us to individually move each one of these. So I'm going to go back to analogous. And I know I want to do something kind of in this range. And what I'm looking for here, there's not really a lot of science to it. I'm just looking for something that looks good to me, where all these really go together well. I don't want to pick something that's going to make my eyes bleed like this, right? Some of these colors are a little crazy next to each other. And whenever I'm ready to go, I just click Save, give it a name. You can choose the library it saves to. This is fine. And you can choose whether or not to share this with other people. I'm going to uncheck that and click Save. And it's saving. And now it's saved my file. Let's go ahead and go to the Explore tab. In the Explore tab, we can browse through other people's palettes. There's nothing wrong with looking at these and taking them. Just keep in mind that they're just other people, so their palettes may not be great. They can just be posted here. There's definitely different upvotes and downvotes and things like that, thumbs up and comments. I would really suggest using these as like a starting place and then modifying it to your own kind of feel. The My Themes tab will show you your themes. And one final thing back on the Create tab, and this is probably a really great technique for you all to use if you've just started working with design. Up here in the right-hand corner is the Create from Image. If I select that and open up an image, it will try and create a palette from that image. Has moods over here on the left-hand side. Kind of liking this totally wild palette for this pinball arcade. We can switch back to Create from Color Wheel. Let's get a different image. So I found this awesome cover that I really like. Yeah, that's a great palette right there. Really nice. I'm going to click Save. That sounds good to me, and I'm not going to publish it. I'll just hit Save. And it's done. Now back in Illustrator, these palettes will appear whenever we start working with our strokes and fills. So let's go ahead and draw a circle. We're using the default fill of white and the default stroke of black. If I click this, I'm not going to see my palettes immediately. There's this button right here, which will open up the Color Themes panel. Alternatively, I can get to that by going Window, Color Themes. Whenever I click that, it should open up my Color Themes panel. Now from this panel, I can actually create exactly what you saw before using the Adobe Color tools. I can set up different rules, right, and just do this right in this interface. It's really great. I find it better to use the web browser version. I just like that interface more. I can also explore themes here, and of course, here's my themes. Now to add my theme, I just have to click this little dot and click Add to Swatches. And then next time I click on my fill, I'm just going to collapse this. Here's my theme, right, the last row. So let's do something like that, and let's give it a stroke from that theme as well. So this is how we use Adobe Color with Illustrator. This also translates to Photoshop and to InDesign. So get used to using Adobe Color, and I'd really recommend spending some time kind of playing around with it and seeing what you can come up with.